Bismillah, let's go. 1 2 1 2, microphone check. 1 2 1 2, microphone check. 1 2 1 2, microphone check. 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Holla if you hear me. So let's get down to brass tacks on here. Big controversy of the day are the statements that have come to light about YouTuber Just Pearly Things. Just Pearly Things is a young white lady who has a channel where she interviews, black men and black women, and she's talking about red pill, manosphere topics. She's talking about the topics of modern men and modern women, and the attitudes of modern men and modern women. She specifically, as she speaks to black people as she's interviewing them, she specifically speaks about the relationship between black men and black women. She specifically speaks on black women's modern attitudes and feminist attitudes. And black people have blown her channel up. Her black viewers have blown her channel up. So it's quite shocking when certain video comes to light, certain older videos she had that people may not have paid attention to, and the newest video that she had where she's interviewing self-proclaimed white nationalist Nick Fuentes, and they're having an alt-right party. They have that video. They having an alt-right party on that video, and she's all into it with Nick. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point with the self-proclaimed white nationalists. So she makes all types of statements about slavery, about black people, about slavery being exaggerated and mythologized to control people. And people's a dog whistle if you really know who she's talking about. Um, you know, some people have come to her defense saying, but she employs black people. She has a mostly all black staff. She she dates black men. She likes black men. So how can she be racist? Can someone like that be racist? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, if you know anything about history, on the plantation, the slave master and the slave hand had sex whenever they wanted to with black women, willingly and unwillingly. Um, there's a movie. I'm not going to say the name of the movie because I don't want people to go look at it. I don't want to promote that. But there's a movie that came out of France back in the early 80s, late 70s about life on the antebellum slave plantations. Not only was old Massa having sex with women, raping women, but old mistress was having sex with the bucks, and she was doing her own little buck breaking. Um, so yeah, that happened. So we know all throughout history of black men being put on trial, black men being lynched for supposedly, raping innocent white women. In reality, those were consensuous relationships. Wasn't no rape involved. But then, there was kind of remorse afterwards, where the woman, she realized after the passion stopped what she did, and now she wanted to accuse the brother of doing something as far as rape, and then he gets usually killed for that. Um, so just having sex with black men or black women does not make you an ally. That's going to be the title. The difference between an ally and a culture vulture. See, some of y'all thought at Pearly Things was an ally. Some of you, it's a minority at this point, but some of y'all still trying to blow that trumpet that she's some type of ally. No, she's a culture vulture. And guess what? She was a culture vulture back then. Some of y'all thought DJ Vlad was an ally, and we know DJ Vlad is culture vulture. Some of y'all thought Vanilla Ice was an ally, but in reality, Vanilla Ice was a culture vulture. And you don't know the difference. You think just because they learn how to dance like you and do your little dance, that makes them an ally. You think just because they show up at the cookout and hang out with you, that makes them an ally. You think just because they hang around black people, that makes them an ally. You think just because they get into a relationship or even marry a minority, that makes them an ally, and it doesn't. It can make them a culture vulture, and there's a difference. There's a difference between being an ally and being someone who fetishizes minorities. And that's not just black people. You Arabs and DCs, y'all included. You included. I know plenty of Arabs and DCs who are in so-called interracial relationships, intercultural, interethnic relationships. And even in those situations, are you really with an ally? Or are you with a culture vulture? And I can tell you the way to figure it out. The same way just pearly things got exposed. When you start talking about things that are sensitive topics to the dominant white culture, then you'll find out if that person's really an ally or a culture vulture. Because the person may like to hang out with you, they may like to eat, some curry, they may like to, eat some shawarma, they may like to eat some soul food, but when you talk about serious topics, politics and religion, the two things they say that you're never supposed to talk about because they lead to arguments. You bring up politics and religion, you'll find out real quick whether you're dealing with an ally or a culture vulture. So, brother Arab, that white girl on campus you thinking about getting married to, bring up the Iraq War. Bring up the Iraq War and get her take and her opinion on the Iraq War. Yeah, I got one for you. Bring up the Zionist state in Palestine. Ask her what she knows about it. Ask her take on it. Then you'll find out. Oh, you really gonna find out whether you're dealing with an ally or a culture vulture. Because you might just be surprised. You thought you were dealing with an ally, and then you start bringing up the Zionist state, and all those tropes and those talking points of the dominant culture start coming out of her mouth, and you sitting there like, whoa, like what have I got myself into? And if you've already gotten married to the young lady or to the older lady, and you find out she's a culture vulture, whew, I don't know what to say. I can't give you advice on that one. I don't know what to say. Do you really want to stay in a marriage like that? Do you want to start bringing forth children with someone like that? Because it's going to turn into a struggle. It's going to turn into a war inside your house. It's going to turn into a struggle. Because you're going to be telling your kids one thing and teaching them one thing, and she's going to come and teach them something completely different. Do you want your children to have her opinion and her views? Brothers, not just in Islam, my black brothers, you want to get with you want to get with Becky. You want to get with Becky. Becky's looking good. Ooh, look at Becky. Oh, look at Becky. And listen, I'm not no Dr. Umar. I ain't no Dr. Umar Johnson. I'm not against so-called racial interracial relationships, and I think that name interracial relationships is problematic for a lot of reasons that I'm not going to get into. That's a whole nother show. And I've wanted to, for 2 years, I wanted to do a show on interracial marriage, and I still plan on doing one, breaking the whole thing down. But see, a lot of people on YouTube say they B1, black first. I'm T1, truth first. If the truth, whether it's for me or against me, whether it's for my group identity or against my group identity, I got to go with the truth. And very few people are truth first. They go with their racial identity, their cultural identity first over the truth. That's why there's so much racism and discrimination in the world today. We don't put truth first. That's why I became Muslim, because I put truth first. That's a show for another day. Now, just early things. if you look at the videos, I looked at the video clips. I didn't watch the whole entire video of the Nick Fuentes interview. I saw the clips, but these weren't little tiny clips because I know some people, her white knights who defending her will say, "Well, you didn't get it in context." No, I got it in context. I'm gonna play a clip for you. Tell me this clip ain't in context. Tell me what's out of context about this particular clip. All right. Are you ready? I want to know what's out of context. Tell me what else do I need to hear from this statement that I'm not getting clearly. Let's go.
Run twice only because it is a short, and then we're gonna come back to that, and we're really gonna talk about it. So,
peace to Crimson Cure. Peace to Crimson Cure. Giving you your props. This is her video, even though she's showing it. This is her video. So, peace. Fair use.
Now, as we watch, I want everybody to just not only listen to what's being said, but look at body language also. And shout out to Just Pearly Things. Here we go.
Didn't he own slaves?
What?
Did he own slaves? George Washington.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, no real man to me. I'm just saying.
No, it's actually interesting. He had a different, like, he inherited his slaves, and it wasn't as simple as he could have just like let them go, because the debt that's incurred on them, like, you can't just release them. And so his slaves actually, like, he had a really good relationship with them, and they considered him like a dad. Oddly enough, like a lot of all of his inheritance went to his slaves.
I mean, I hear that, but I just can't take a man seriously if you're owning other people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, I think a lot of times we'll like judge on the times.
Yeah.
And it's like he inherited them. It wasn't as simple, like, because a lot of times they'll like take down the statues and whatever, but he couldn't just let them go because they would be homeless at the time.
Yeah, a lot of things.
It wasn't. Yeah, go ahead.
Didn't he?
Now,
what part of the game is that? Did you hear it? Now, I didn't make any comment. I haven't made a comment yet. Is there more I need to hear to get a better context to what she just said? Let me tell you what I heard. First of all, when the black man brought up George Washington and him owning slaves, she immediately went into defense mode. Did you notice that? That's something allies don't do. Allies don't go into defense mode. Allies don't automatically go into defense mode for antebellum slavery or American slavery. Allies don't automatically go into defense mode for Zionism. Allies don't immediately go into defense for the Hindu nationalism. They don't do that. Cultural vultures do that, because their interaction with another culture, their romancing with other culture is based on very shallow reasonings. And it's not that they identify with them. It's not that they sympathize with them. It's not that they see them as human beings equal to them. So she automatically goes into defense mode. Know why she did that? Because she identifies with George Washington. She got all these black people on her show. She employs all these black people. She sleeps with black men, but she doesn't identify with them. She identifies more with George Washington. She identifies with the old mythology around the founding fathers and the American flag and the Star-Spangled Banner. And these were the greatest men of all history. They're the founding fathers. The same propaganda, the same made-up propaganda history that you learn in school, whether it's public school or private school, the same things that the average person in a dominant culture believes. So she ain't no ally when it comes to that point. She go and listen to her defense. Well, he couldn't just let him go. He couldn't just let him go. Why? Because he incurred the debt. Oh, see, that's George Washington. Why do you care about George Washington's debt, but you don't care about the burden of these enslaved people? She doesn't care about the life of these enslaved individuals, she cares about George Washington's debt. Let that sink in for a little bit. Let that sink in. And then she goes in to justify it. She justifies it. Oh, he inherited these slaves. So he didn't purchase the slaves. He inherited the slaves. So George Washington never purchased a slave. What's your reference for that, pearly things? She's ignorant. She has no reference. She just believes. These are the same type of things you will see on any comments page or on any social media website being spewed by racist and prejudiced people from the dominant culture. She holds the same tropes and beliefs that are not based in any verifiable information. He just inherited them. So if you buy slaves, that's wrong. But if you inherit slaves, that's right. That's better. Okay. He inherited slaves. That's one. And he treated his he had a good relationship with his slaves. Oh, he had a good relationship. They called him father. So this is the happy slave narrative. This is the happy slave defense. The happy slave defense goes all the way back to the Civil War. This is what the Southern states, this is what they argued about. We don't have to why are you telling us to let these slaves go? These are happy slaves. They're happy with being slaves. They're happy in this slave culture that we have down in the South. Why are you guys from the North coming down here trying to change our culture? Everything's working out fine here. Nothing needs to be changed. They're just happy little slaves. Happy slaves. We some happy slaves. Oh, massa, we happy. That's nuts. That's crazy, pearly things. Again, you don't know your history about slavery. You're ignorant. He can't let them go because they'll be homeless. Oh, so he's benevolent. He's doing them a favor. He's doing these happy slaves a favor by keeping them in slavery because they might be homeless. Well, maybe he should have let them go, and maybe he should have gave them some money. If you see them as human beings, you inherit them. You see them as human beings. You let them go, and you give them something so they can start a new life. How about that? And nothing about how George Washington and these other slave owners were brutal to their slaves. They were brutal to their slaves. They raped their slaves. Look up Sally Heming. Look up Sally Heming. Rapist, sexual assaulters of young girls. And we judge things by our time. We judge things by our time. So not judging things by our time is good for the dominant culture, but then you judge other people's culture and other people's religion and other people's things. You judge them by present day dominant white culture. It's present day dominant Western culture is universal. If you judge all civilizations, all nations, all cultures, everybody else gets judged by that. Even you go back in time and judge people because it's the ultimate expression of human culture. It's the highest on the chain of evolution. But then when you want to apply this logic to their way of life and culture, all of a sudden you can't do that. You just can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. So her sleeping with black men, her having a bunch of black people on her set, employing black people, having black people that she interviews, her having an audience full of black people means absolutely nothing. Does not make her an ally. You were bamboozled, beguiled, because you didn't know what she believed about history. You didn't know what she believed about systemic racism. You didn't know what she believes about the treatment of black people. So you didn't know these important, deep issues. So you fell for the surface imagery. Abdullah, you want to date Becky at the college. You don't know what she thinks about the Zionist state. You don't know what she thinks about the Iraq war. You don't even know what she thinks about al-Islam. What's her opinions? What does she hold? What kind of Islamophobic ideas are inside her mind? She likes you. Don't mean she likes your people. She likes your way of life. So let's calm down. You know, a lot of us, we're still in our slave minds. We're still in our colonized minds. We still have not been decolonized. This is why these situations keep happening. There's nothing special or new about Just Pearly Things. Just Pearly Things is just it's the female DJ Vlad. DJ Vlad did the same exact thing. Vanilla Ice has done the same black thing, same thing. And many countless others who have been able to come into black spaces and black culture, appropriate black culture, monetize it, get famous, make money like Elvis. But then they run back to the down culture. You know, hey, that's just my job. This is the way I make money. You know, don't mix me up as some type of ally or nothing like that. I'm just a culture vulture. I ain't no ally. You know, I'm still white. You know, I'm still white. I'm still on your side. You know, don't get me mixed up. Yep. Abdullah, that's exactly what the culture vulture Becky will do. She'll come down and eat some shawarma and kick it with you. But let the topics of politics and religion come up. Watch how fast she may flip on you back to the dominant culture. When things get hot. See, that's the difference between the ally and the culture vulture. When things get hot, the ally stands strong and steadfast. We're going to fight back to back. We're going to fight the enemy back to back. I'm down with you. I'm not moving out of this place. If they beat you, they got to beat me. If they kill you, they got to kill me. If they arrest you, they got to arrest me. That's the ally. The culture vulture is only dead sticking their toe into your culture for their own gain, for their own personal gain, for what it does for them. They're with you for what it does for them. They're in your culture, around your people, for what it does for them. And when it gets serious, when situations get serious, they're gonna fold like a house made out of sand and cards. That's the difference. And you guys got to stop falling for this. And I'm speaking to myself too. I'm not, like I said, I ain't no Dr. Umar. I'm not against interracial, so-called interracial marriage, but you better make sure what you get into. See, that's why it doesn't matter the color or the ethnicity of the person. You got to know and understand their character. You got to understand what they believe in. You know? So I talked about this longer than I intended to talk about it. All right. I just wanted to touch on this subject real quick. Put some little light on it, put some T1 on it, and you know, you got what you got. All right. Inshallah, tune into the next show and podcast coming soon. Sub if you haven't subbed. Hit the bell if you haven't hit the bell. Like if you haven't liked. Peace out.